Hey everyone, my name is Brian Morgan. I'm the Student Life Director at First Presbyterian Church in Lakeland, Florida. And I'm a rookie to this whole doing videos and sharing content on social media. And so I just ask that you would be patient with me as I figure out this skill and hopefully I'm able to say some things that would be beneficial and helpful to people. And much of my content is going to be rooted from a Christian perspective, oftentimes using the Bible and talking about the rhythm of who Jesus is and his character. I just think that Jesus is the greatest person who's done the greatest amount of good for the greatest amount of time for the greatest amount of people. And I'm in love with him and just enthralled with his character, and just think, man, the more his character can become sticky to my heart, and then I can kind of extend the grace that I've been given towards the world around me, man, that's just the way that I'm choosing to operate through life. And I think that is one that can provide a lot of benefits to a world that's really hurting. And so one other thing, before we get started kind of on the content, I just wanted to have a little disclaimer and just say that I'm an absolute doofus. I am sloppy with my words. There are times that I speak into things that I really have no business speaking into. I'll think that I know about topics that maybe I'm not fully versed in. Again, just sloppy with my words at times, and will make caricatures of people wrongly. And so I just say that because I'm a sinner that's in need of grace. That I do not have this thing figured out. I live in a constant state of I don't know. Especially you think in a world like we're living in today. I mean, man, things are so layered and nuanced, and there's so many different angles to look at things that I just have one perspective, and oftentimes it's not complete. But I do, at the end of the day, want to be helpful. I don't mean to be hurtful or to say anything that would upset anybody, but I just want to just quickly say that I'm not above that I'm capable of it. I've done it and probably will continue to do it, but do not mean to be malicious about it in any way. And so I just ask on the front end that you would give me forgiveness and your grace, as you would just be patient with me as I figure out how to communicate effectively to a wide variety of people. And so with that said, just want to jump into the content for this afternoon, and just wanted to reflect on Luke chapter 18, where Jesus tells this parable where he has a tax collector and a Pharisee that go up to a temple to pray. And just think a tax collector was not very popular back in the first century. They were not well liked at all. They were extortionists. They were liars, swindlers, cheats, greedy. And so people just did not like them. And then you have the Pharisee, which is essentially a religious leader. Think of like a pastor or a priest of some kind. And so they both go up to a temple to pray, and the Pharisee starts out his prayer by saying, God, thank you that I'm not like this man. And he's referring to the tax collector. So immediately from the jump, he's positioned himself in a place of superiority and self-righteousness and arrogance, saying, man, I'm glad I'm not like this, doofus over here, who's a sinner, and I just don't want to be like him. And I just think, man, the minute he does that, he disqualifies himself heavily from really having a voice in that tax collector's life, if there ever was a chance, because he's saying that he's better than them. And I get it, because I do the same thing. I countless times think to myself, I would never do that. I would never say that. I would never think that. How could this person have that viewpoint? How could this person think like that? And I just separate myself. And I separate myself in a sense that I'm better than that person. Even if I'm not really trying to intentionally communicate that, that's what my words, I think, are communicating. And so I get the tax collector or the Pharisees' words, and I can empathize with them, because that's oftentimes me. And then you contrast that with the tax collector, where at the beginning of his prayer, he says, Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. And so he identifies himself as a sinner right from the get-go. And so there's a posture of humility there, that he recognizes that he's in need of God's grace and forgiveness, and not just God's forgiveness, but the relationships that he has horizontally with other people. He would need forgiveness. And so he realizes that he's wronged others and he's wronged God, and so he asks for forgiveness and grace. And I just think, man, that's the type of heart that I would like to go into my day with. That I don't put myself above other people. That I recognize that I'm needy and dependent on God and Jesus's saving grace, and which hopefully then that can start to breed fertile ground for humility and kindness, and to be able to dialogue with people who I think that are in opposition to my viewpoint or stance on something in a way that can be constructive, because I'm not going to think that I'm better than them, or I would never do or say or think the things that they do, but instead I can figure out how can I communicate effectively with this person. We can still respect one another even though we may disagree on things. And you think, man, there's so much divisiveness in our culture right now, and people just pitting one another against each other on a variety of really important topics that really need to be discussed and fleshed out, and having the most amount of voices that can constructively dialogue in those conversations. I think, man, that could be a really tremendous thing, but it seems like that skill is just diminishing, and I'm part of it too. I'm not great at it either. Yeah, and no matter what topic you want to bring up, whether it's the Black Lives Matter movement, whether it's wear a mask, don't wear a mask, COVID-19 is blown out of proportion or it's not, send your kids to school, don't send your kids to school. I mean, affiliated with this political party or that political party. I mean, man, there's a whole host of things that are really important that we should be having conversations about. But the question is, can we have conversations about them effectively and still respect and be kind to one another, even if we disagree? And I think one of the keys to being able to do that is right in this passage, to think, can we arrest our hearts when we begin to think that we're better than other people? That when we begin to think that I would never think or do or say something that other people might do or say or think. And because at the end of the day, I have done or am capable of doing any sin that's ever been committed on the face of the earth. Outside of the Spirit of God or God's grace, if just left to myself, I am capable of sinning in a whole host of wicked ways, or have already done so. And so, I just, as a Christian, I want to be able to empathize, or just as a person, just want to empathize with people, be able to listen well, learn, and just dialogue constructively with other people. And I just think that if we can figure that out, man, we could really do a lot of good. And I hope at the end of the day, each one of us we're just pro-humanity. We just want to see humanity thrive. We want to see humanity be in a really great state of affairs. And can we do that with helping each other and talking in a way that we can hear one another and agree to disagree, but also find common ground? Man, what could happen if some of that could take place? But I think where it starts is in each one of us, and it starts in me being able to have that positioning in my heart where I'm not arrogant, I'm not prideful about my stance on various issues. And I can also see myself in a variety of people, in all sorts of people. No matter how wicked, I can say, man, I'm capable of that too. And I think personally, when I'm able to do that, I'm able to communicate with a wide spectrum of people, and hopefully they would not pick up on me feeling superior to them. So that's just my thoughts for today. I hope that they're helpful, beneficial in some way. Just want to point you to a couple things if you do find this helpful. We have an Instagram page, which is Surrender FPC, and I also have a Person of Jesus Sunday school class via Zoom from 9:30 to 10:30 on Sunday mornings. And if that's something you'd like to jump in and be a part of, then feel free to just send me a direct message on my Facebook account. And so, yeah, thanks for tuning in and listening. And the videos will be shorter from here on out. Just want to give kind of some brief information on the front end. And so, love you guys. Thanks again for listening, and catch up with you later.